Hey viewers, so here I am with the Linux Mint 19.3 installed in my virtual machine. Now this is the last release of the year 2019 and the Linux Mint team came with some really good new features and updated the system. Now after booting I have already installed this 19.3 in my virtual machine, and after logging in, the first and the foremost thing which we look and which is the new thing is that they have changed the icon of the applications menu. So you have a little bit different icon which is a bit circular, and we have here there is the mint logo in it. So I like this kind of icon also, and I like the change they did with this. And they have also updated the cinnamon desktop environment. Now if someone is switching from the Windows or the Mac and someone is new to the Linux world, then a lot of people suggest that you start your journey in the Linux world with the Linux Mint, because the Mint is very easy to use and it is very fast also. Like suppose if I'm a person switching from the Windows OS and I'm not used to the terminal window, so while switching towards the Linux I have to get used to the terminal window. But in the Linux Mint, if I am installing the Linux Mint and starting with the Mint, then I do not have to interact with the terminal window that much. I have all the software and the graphical user interface like Software Center, and Update Manager is also there in Linux Mint. So it would be easier for me to just go on with the Linux world. Now I don't know whether the 19.2 version or the earlier versions had this option, which was the Update Manager, which you can see in the notification area. And with this I do not have to go into the terminal window and type sudo apt update and then upgrade. Update manager will refresh all the repositories. It will find whether I have any new update to install, and with a single click I can install the all the updates. So this is easier for me as I am switching from the Windows OS, where I was used to just click one, or it was the automatic schedule where all the updates were already installed and I do not have the manual control over the Windows. But here I have the manual control, and it would be easier for me to just go on with the Linux. The other thing which they did is that they have built a system error notification area, or you can say that they in under the notifications area you have this option of system error handling, where you can just click there and you can see that if your system is having any error, or if it wants to update, or if you are having any driver update. So you can do this with the system reports application. Suppose you're having the Nvidia graphics card and you want to install the driver. Now after installing, you might forget that you do not have the Nvidia driver installed in your Linux Mint, but this error handling icon which is placed in notification area, it will show you and it will pop up and tell you that you have this kind of error. And it is also a kind of application which will help you to maintain your system. So for example, when I open this, it will check the operating system, and it will tell me that whether I have any task which is pending and I have to install. Like here I can see that I have to install the language packages. You have the option of installing the local language packages, which is the other thing which they did with the 19.3, is that they added more local languages to the Linux Mint. Suppose you are a French person, then you can install the French language package, and you can also set your local time format also. In system reports, you can also see that if you are a kind of beginner in the Linux world, then for system information you need to install the neofetch, and then you have to give the neofetch command in the terminal window. After giving the command, you will get all the information regarding your OS, the kernel version, and all other things. But in the system reports, they have also included this. Under the system information, you can see that you have the information regarding the system, which is what kind of display manager it is using, what kernel it is using, your host name, and under machine you will have all the information. You have the information of CPU, the graphics, the audio, and the audio reverse install system. Also, you have the information of sensor repositories which are added in your system. And also, you don't need to go to the system information and look how much RAM is used at that particular time, and how much uh, memory is used, how much what is the uptime of your system, and how much you can use a battery before another charge. So basically it have all kind of information. The another update which they did is that earlier in the 19.2 or the earlier versions, they had the text editor which was called Tomboy, but they replaced the Tomboy with the Gnote. Now the reason for replacing the Tomboy with Gnote was that Gnote was built on a modern technology and Tomboy was dependent on the mono. So they decided to replace the Tomboy with the Gnote. The other thing they did is that they replaced the default media player, which was the X player, with the celluloid player. Now the X-Player was built on the G streamer and it was having some issues with the media codecs. Plus it used to take a lot of CPU and a lot of battery usage. But the celluloid is based on the MPV backend, which provides a better performance and a better efficiency of your battery, and it puts a lesser load on your CPU. Celluloid can also handle a larger resolution file, which was an issue with the X Player. Looking on the theming side, they have the similar theme which they had in the 19.2. So they haven't changed the theme, but you have more customization options in the tweaking side. They have added more configuration options in the file manager. Plus, you can configure the panel text also and the icon size also. Now coming towards the photo editing section. In the photo editing, why if you are not a professional in photo editing, but if you're a person who used to just resize and crop images daily, you might find that GIMP is a little bit difficult to use. Well, I use GIMP, but in the very initial phase I find GIMP a little bit difficult, though it is similar to the Photoshop, but it has some of the features which are a little bit different from the Photoshop. So I had a little bit hard time. Initially I had this hard time, but later on get used to it. But if you are not a professional and if you want to edit the photos, then they have introduced a new application called the drawing application, in which you can resize or crop or draw anything. Well, you can relate this also, like if you have used the Windows XP ever in your life, then you might have used the Paint application. Now the drawing tool is very similar to the Paint application. There in the Paint you were able to draw anything, and you were able to resize the images, crop the images, and change some of the color options. Here also in the drawing application it is just the same thing. Now, one thing I like a lot regarding this distro is that they have it has a built-in support for Flatpak. So, for example, the Flatpak is integrated with the software center. So, if you want to install any new version of software and if it is available in the FlatHub, then you can install with the software manager, and you don't have to just go on the internet and download the software and install it on your system. Which is my another point also, that when I check the version of the LibreOffice install in the Linux Mint 19.3, the version is the 6.0 version, which is a very older version. And if you want to install the latest version of LibreOffice, you can install it from the FlatHub, which is the 6.3 version. The 6.3 version has a tab theme which will make it look a little bit better and much more organized. Now, when I install the Linux Mint on my machine, and when I was using the Cinnamon desktop environment, I find one thing which uh, which took my heart was that the Cinnamon desktop environment has a much more quicker response time than any other desktop environment. Like XFCE, if you see the XFCE, it is good for the older hardware and it has a very good response time. The applications open very fastly. But if you see the gnome or the KDE takes a little bit lesser time, but it takes some time, a fraction of seconds. And if you take the gnome, it takes some seconds or few seconds to open an application. But in Cinnamon, I didn't had this issue. When I opened any software, it opened very quickly. So this was a kind of interesting thing for me. The Cinnamon desktop environment also has its own icons. For a change, the icons look very good. And I have been using this Linux Mint for a month, and I tried to break the system, but I must say that this is a rock solid system. It didn't break anytime, and I had a very good time with this. So if you're new to Linux, then you can definitely go with the Linux Mint and start your journey in the Linux world. Thank you for watching this video, and please do mention in the comment section did you like this video or not, and please do subscribe my channel also, like the video, and tell me how was this video in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.